Welcome to Cardinals Hoops.
Hey there Cardinals fans, and welcome to the first edition of Cardinals Hoops. My name is Rory Dew. Both the men's and women's teams were on the road this past week. First off was Nicholls State, and the women's team put up a valiant effort but struggled and fell short 34-67. The men's team, however, were able to notch up a W at the Stoford Gym, downing the Colonels 69-58. Next, both teams headed to the Gulf to play Texas A&M Corpus Christi. Unfortunately, the women's team would take another loss on the road, falling short of the Islanders 63-54, and the men's team lost an agonizingly close game, 71-70. Now, let's look ahead to this week's battle with the Cardinals. Terry, what are you expecting to see from the men this week?
Now to this week's matchup, the Lamar Cardinals versus the UIW Cardinals, the Battle of the Birds. In the men's division, last year's game ended with the UIW Cardinals overtaking the Lamar Cardinals 75-64, and Denzel Livingston had a huge game with 27 points. The UIW Cardinals were also able to overtake the Lamar Cardinals in pretty much every division. Points in the paint, points over turnovers, fast break points in pretty much every category. So it's interesting to see if the UIW Cardinals can keep up that intensity this year versus Lamar. Lamar is returning 4 players, one of which was their starter and leading scorer from last year. So it's interesting to see how that player can improve the production of the Lamar Cardinals and see if they can have a better outcome this year. You had the chance to look over the women's games, and what do you think?
I think this week's game versus Lamar is going to come down just to the women's side alone. Last year, they could not take care of business when they faced the Lamar Cardinals, and that team was led by the Moore sisters and as well as Katie Novak. Those 3 players, they provided a big core for the Cardinals, and it really did hold a lot of productivity for them. Now we're going to see what the young 3 players can do. Jasmine Holden, Merritt, as well as Haley Footias can do for the young Cardinals. It's going to be interesting to see what these young players bring onto the court and the type of intensity they bring on to being on a nationally televised game for the first time in many of their careers.
Speaking of those young players being on that nationally televised game, you had a chance to speak with senior guard Cheyenne Berry about this week's upcoming game and how they're going to handle the pressure. Let's see how that went.
Cheyenne?
Doing all right. How are you doing, Chris? Thanks for having me.
Oh, no, thanks for coming on. So, you know, this early on the season, didn't get off to the way you wanted to, of course, getting an early injury. However, you still found a way to contribute here to the squad. And, can you tell us just a little bit about that?
Well, my contribution before I went out was just consistent leadership on and off the court. And so that was expected from me as soon as I went down. Because with us having an entire new team and 5 freshmen, leadership was going to be needed. So I just had to kind of adjust and be a leader more, kind of not from a coach's perspective, but kind of like player coach and just more from the sideline.
Okay. Yeah, so, just kind of going off that, you talked about the 5 freshmen coming onto this year. From the beginning of the season to now, what is the growth you've noticed with these guys? Have they gotten, well, obviously they've gotten a lot better since the beginning of the year.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we got here back in July, and just the physical and mental growth that's taken place has been pretty phenomenal by a handful of the girls. And I think it's really neat that although its season hasn't really gone the way it's planned, just with injuries and sickness and stuff like that, freshmen have really had to step up to the plate and accept the challenge. And one in particular, Jasmine Holman, she's really stepped up and is pretty much leading the team statistically for us right now. And her just gaining that experience along with a couple of the other freshmen just kind of following in her tracks is only going to better us in the games to come and then in the seasons to come as well.
Exactly. You talked about Holman and some of those other freshmen as well, Merritt and Farias and company. The game this weekend is going to be on ESPN3. It's going to be televised. In that locker room, what have you told these players so far, how to get them mentally prepared for it to be, on TV, to be shown out to the country?
Honestly, we haven't really said one word about the game being televised. But like the thing that we're focusing most on now isn't necessarily maybe like bigger publicity or just having a couple more fans in the stands. Right now it's just really trying to find a way to like come together as a family through some of the challenges that we've had to face and continue to face. Just coming together as a whole.
So Cardinal fans, make sure to be out there. Actually, let Cheyenne tell us what time tip is.
5 p.m. and then it'll be followed by the guys' game at 7.
So you hear it here. Cheyenne said make sure to be there at 5 o'clock sharp. Make sure to be in the stands and wear your red t-shirts. And always remember, let's go Cardinals.
Remember, Cardinals fans, this weekend's game against Lamar will be live on ESPN3. Make sure you get out there and support your team on the national stage. Thanks for watching Cardinals Hoops. On behalf of my co-hosts Chris Reyes and Terry Blues, my name is Rory Dew. See you next week and let's go Cardinals.
We'll be right back.